Hello, everyone. This is Kripa Anand, and welcome to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. Today, we are exploring the intersection of high level strategic execution and human happiness. In 2026, the most successful leaders realize that performance isn't just about spreadsheets, it's about the neuroscience of how we think, commit, and change. Joining us today is Kim F. Hoyer, founder and CEO of Factor X Solutions. With 26 years of experience, Kim has transformed the performance of some of North America's most iconic brands, from Cirque to Solil to Calgary Flames. Through his P4 advancement system and the Factor X mastermind, he helps entrepreneurs move beyond the ordinary by proving that human engagement is the highest leverage strategy available. So, before further ado, let's welcome this very special guest. Kim, welcome to the podcast. Such a pleasure to have you with us.
Oh, it's great, Beyond. Thanks, Kripa. It's great to meet you. You guys have a great audience that I'm just excited
Right.
to speak to.
Even I'm looking forward to this episode, Kim. Now, Kim, you've worked with hundreds of business owners over nearly 3 decades, right? And you've identified a specific framework for why companies get stuck. So let's start the discussion by understanding what is the real reason businesses hit a plateau?
I think the biggest reason that I've discovered in my 26 years or whatever it's been, it's ticking, time's ticking, but it's mostly they don't have a kind of an intentional framework to run their business. They don't need something really rigid, but they do need something. They need to do business a little more intentionally.
Yeah.
So what we came up with years ago and keep building on and improving is something we call the Factor X advancement system, or the P4 system. Essentially, we say that, you know what, Crepa, you can do anything you want in the world with your company, with your life, with any, if you've got the right plan, you got the right people on your team, you're getting the right performance out of those people, and you're promoting it like crazy so everyone knows what you're doing and you're getting feedback and you're improving it. So
Yeah.
if you can keep that straight and at the same time keep your head straight so you're not listening to that voice in your head too much, then you do incredibly well in this world.
No, definitely. That's a great explanation. Just expanding a little on this, do you think, from a mindset perspective, is it more of a lack of effort or maybe a systematic barrier or something like that? What's your take on that?
It's a little of all four, right? Part of it is just people need the recipe. They need to know how to build a plan, how to execute
Yeah.
a plan, how to communicate a plan. You need to know how to put the right people on the right team.
Hmm.
Performance is the P that really makes the biggest difference. Not that
Yeah.
promotion isn't a big one, but that mental game, that keeping track of your and a hold and managing your fear and realizing it's you that's in charge of your head and you can get back past any hurdle that you've got and take advantage of the opportunities and limit the threats. I mean, if you can just stay confident and kind of work with
Yeah.
all the tools that are available to you, you do really, really well.
That's amazing. I think transforming a plan from a binder on a shelf into a shared team vision, right, at the end of the day, is the catalyst that turns a stagnant business into a high performing machine. Now, let's talk about how peer accountability drives lasting change. So, firstly, from a psychological point of view, this peer assessment thing, how effective do you think that is? And why is peer accountability critical for business growth from your experience?
Yeah, peer accountability is kind of the secret sauce that we get when we're doing our turnarounds and working with companies. It's just the reality is that people, when they're doing business, not alone, but with other trusted peers, that you've heard that
Yeah.
expression is lonely at the top, but when you're working with other people that are, similar level of business, similar kind of issues, and you work together, you can't hide. You don't keep things. You don't have to keep everything to yourself and
Yeah.
carry that burden all by yourself. So what happens is by sharing your struggles, by sharing your wins, by sharing resources that you've got. Um, and the room, the people that you're in, it changes what you're willing to admit, what you're willing to attempt, what you're willing to commit to. And
Mhm.
in fact, your results are often as high as 200% times that if you just try to do it yourself, right? It's accountability.
Yeah.
It's shared resources, and you're just not alone. And business becomes a lot more fun. You can take more vacations. You make a lot more money.
Yeah.
It's one of the biggest difference makers that I've ever come across, which is why I'm such a
Yeah.
big proponent of it.
No, definitely. Because, as a business owner specifically, we're often juggling between so many hats, trying to do everything ourselves, right? And getting so deeply involved in each process that, this is very helpful. And on that note, building on what you said, Kim, here's a special message for all of our listeners, specifically for all the founders and executives watching. In 2026, entrepreneurship doesn't have to be the loneliest job in the world. If you are serious about growth, stop trying to solve your potential in a vacuum. Kim's work with Factor X proves that when you are in a high stakes environment with peers who refuse to let you hide from your potential, your standards naturally rise. Whether you are at an early level or ready for a private engagement, the next cohort is just around the corner. So don't just read another book, get in the right room. Visit factorxsolutions.com to take their free diagnostic tool and find out exactly which of the four plateaus is holding you back today. Now, coming back to you, Kim, I agree with you. Surrounding yourself with people who challenge your thinking and expect your best is the most effective shortcut to personal and professional evolution. Um, Now, let's explore the link between leadership and human performance. Now, leadership can mean different things to a lot of different people, right? So, how do our thoughts and emotions influence leadership and human performance overall? And firstly, to build base for this answer, from your personal perspective, what do you think are the highest leadership qualities in any individual?
I think kind of taking those one at a time. So we already talked about peer support, and the next one is the mental game, right? So
Yeah.
we call that unlock your block. And it's funny, we've got three accelerators. One is all about sales and selling more. One is
Hmm.
all about scaling and systems and procedures. And the one that surprises people is by far the most powerful, which is unlock your block, which is to get in charge of your head, right? We
Yeah.
hear that voice in our head and we think that's somebody else, but who's listening, right? And
Hmm.
when we get a handle on the fear that's driving you, that the everything you're trying to hang on to, every little micro trauma you've got in your past of big things and little things, that's causing you to stagnate. That's causing you to decelerate, much less accelerate, which is what you want. So
Yeah.
it's huge. It's the mental game. People sense it about you. People want to be around you when you're living, from a place
Hmm.
of just, basically your goal is just to shine, and your goal is to just serve your customers, and you kind
Hmm.
of get your ego in check, and you're just out there trying to make everything better for your customers, that
Yeah.
translates into incredible success. You'll grow two, three times the speed of any competitor you've got in the marketplace. I've seen it over and over and over again.
You've explained that beautifully, right? And you've painted quite a picture there, right? And on that note, coming back to the leadership part of it, right? So, from your personal experience, what do you think are the highest leadership qualities? And why I ask this is because, specifically with now AI being in the picture, majority of the skills we can learn, right?
Yeah.
What we cannot learn would be the soft skills that a person either has, is born with, or uh, develops over time consciously.
Yeah.
So, from that perspective, what do you think are the three top qualities any human or individual should have in order to, grow in life?
For leadership specifically, instead of three, I'll pick two. One
Okay.
is ambition, and the second is connection. So the first one
Hmm.
is ambition. Don't think small. You've heard for years and read also think big, but people don't do it, right?
Yeah.
But don't limit yourself. So you've got a dream, you follow it. Your heart is biologically connected to your brain, and you need to follow that thing. You need to realize that, yeah, most of us, depending how old you are, you're going to be either, buried someplace or burned in 20 years or 30 years or 50 years if you're lucky. And you need to act on these things. And the
Hmm.
second is connection. You brought up AI. What's left, and this is kind of back to peer groups, is
Yeah.
connection. It's really seeing people and really helping people, and not thinking so much about yourself, but thinking more about how you can really make someone's day a great day, how you can sell them something that is, at a great price, it's a great product,
Uh-huh.
and really try to make their life better. And they'll sense that in you, and they'll pay more for it if they sense that you're really trying to help them and you're really
Right.
all about them instead of you.
Perfect. I think aligning your business strategy with how the human brain actually functions ensures that growth feels energizing rather than, a constant pressure. Now, while we move to the last segment of this conversation, Kim, I'd love to understand a little deeper about your life. How did you get into doing what you're doing today? Is business something that came very naturally to you growing up, or is it something that, you stumbled upon in your life?
You know what? It was a little bit of both, a little bit of stumbling and a little bit of I was lucky that I had a couple of really good bosses, one in particular.
Uh-huh.
And I started with a company, and it was a small company, and he was really into systems and procedures and listening to people, and I thought that was normal. I thought that's how business was done. And then how I ended up starting my company is I worked for a series of probably 10 or maybe 8, 9 companies where
Mhm.
business was not done intentionally. And sales were not done intentionally, and operations were not done intentionally. There was no systematic improvement. There was no they weren't doing it like what how I thought everyone was doing it. So that's
Yeah.
why I started the company, right? To really try to recreate and then improve on even
Wow.
what I had encountered as a young man 100 years ago, right? So that's how I stumbled into it.
That's very smart. You saw an opportunity, you saw the gap, and you did your best to bridge that gap, right? That's amazing. Now, I'd love to, continue this conversation with you, Kim, and definitely we'd love to have you back, maybe for an in-studio podcast that we do next. But for now, before we let you go, what is a growth velocity score, and how can it help entrepreneurs unlock them and help them, get to that next level of growth?
Yeah. So this is something available to all your listeners. It's called as you mentioned, a growth velocity score. It
Uh-huh.
is a 2 minute, two, maybe 3 minutes the most, probably closer to 2 minutes. It's 12 questions.
Wow.
You can you'll in the show notes or whatever it is, people can click on it or email me, whatever it is, find me on
Yeah.
LinkedIn. But essentially, it's going to walk you through really briefly those 4 Ps. How are you doing on planning? How are you doing on working with people? How are you doing on your personal performance and managing the performance of the people that are working with you? And how are you promoting? How are you marketing? And it's not
Hmm.
even going to tell you where you're falling short. It's going to tell you how to fix it.
So
So
it's a 360-degree reality check with solutions,
yeah,
basically, right?
a really simple, short
Yeah,
one, and really
yeah.
2 minutes, and you get instant feedback, and it'll help you kind of take out a compass and figure out where you're going, where you are, and where you want to go.
Beautiful. I encourage all the listeners to go ahead and click the link and take this test, because it's not just about getting a clearer picture for your own self, but also for your business, right? So, Kim, it has been such a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your insights with us.
Oh, thank you very much. It was wonderful.
All right, that was Kim F. Hoyer from Factor X Solutions, a masterclass in strategic execution, the P4 advancement system, and the undeniable power of peer accountability. To all the listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and visit CanadianSME.ca for more such resources. To learn more about how we are supporting the ecosystem, please visit the Canadian SME Small Business Foundation at smbfoundation.ca. And lastly, a special thank you to our partners, UPS and ADP, our HR partner, for their ongoing commitment to empowering SMBs across Canada. I'll see you all in the next episode. Kripa Anand signing off.